When you have a lot of good instructions, but at the moment they are needed, nobody can find them, you still do not have a nice instruction system. So organizing your instructions is also a very important step in making your trainings and instructions more effective. Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel where we talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And this is the third video on a free video mini-series on work instructions and how to make the whole system more effective. So if after this video, Koen, you still have questions about other topics related to work instructions, please do not hesitate to put a comment down below, and also of course for anybody else. But today we will be going into how to organize your work instructions once you have them, because it would be such a waste if you cannot really use them, cannot really find them because of poor organization. Now, the two things we will be looking at first is to think in terms of the processes, so more think in terms of your system, or thinking in terms of your people. So, and then more, how do you plan and how do you use your people? So what should they be able to do? Now, when we have a process, and within industry we're usually talking about a production process, but this can of course be any office process as well. What is a main thing for instructions is that there are different tasks. And you need a person to do tasks within a process to make sure that the process goes well. These specific tasks are the things that you need to train. So they are the meat of our instructions as well. But this, if we just make instructions about every task, will become a jungle of different documents and instructions. So we also really need to look at how do you organize it further. And if we then check only the processes in our factory, which is a little bit the thing that, let's say, old ISO systems really recommended. So just break down your whole organization into all the processes that you have, and for each process you make a standard and also you instruct on that process. But when we look at our personnel planning, what you will also see is you have a number of people, and today we put somebody on milling 1, we put somebody on milling 2, we have a team lead, and we have a packaging operator. Tomorrow the same person might be again on milling 1, this one's on packaging, we still have a team lead, this one is on milling 2. And what you already see is that we place people at a place during their shift. And in this workplace, there are a number of processes. But for a person, and when we're doing instructions and training, we are talking about people, of course, for a person to be effective, they should be at a level, a good, competent level, for all processes within this one planning workplace. So that's why I really want you to think about how we organize our training and especially our education in these workplace units. Where would you plan a person? That's the package of information that they need. So if we make a training program for our milling 1 workplace, we check which processes are a part and what are then the tasks that the operator of this milling process and then the first part of the milling process has to be able to do. And these tasks, they go onto our program. So these are the building blocks of what we need to train. And in this way, you can make training material about the tasks and about a competency to run a specific process. And when we are using evaluation control lists or another assessment to check if somebody can function for a workplace, we are referring to the ability to complete a process in a correct way. And then there are a number of tasks that come back in your instruction material. They get onto a program, because we do not want people that can operate one panel on our milling machine, but really cannot oversee the whole process and in the end cannot be planned on this workplace. We need to have people who can just put on a workplace and know that things will turn out all right and that they manage the process in such a way that we get good product that we can ship and make money. So that's why we put together a program like this, and then we also don't really do an exam for each of those tasks or even each of the processes. What we want to do is have that exam or an assessment, or however you would like to call it, based on the whole program. And when they successfully make the exam, then we can put them on this workplace in our planning. So for your organization, that is another one of the things I would also always put with my list of people, the personnel schedule, which places they are allowed to work on. So do they have a level 3 or a level 4 or a level 5? Refer back to the first video about the instructions. Can they operate, or are they expert on that workplace? And that's also a thing. When we talked about the levels of competency, we were not talking about your competence in a single task or even a single process. We want to have a level 3, so a basic competent operator on the whole front part of our milling operation. Or we want a trainer that can train the whole milling operation, not just the setup of the machine for when there is iron going through. So this will focus the organization of our instructions as well. But an instruction we do not have for a program. Instructions are actually the building blocks that go into tasks. And we have a number of processes that are very specific to a workplace. For instance, the setting up of the milling machine is probably really specific to the milling number 1 workplace. But the general health and safety requirements, it's a general knowledge part, or being able to properly administer time and check in and check out of the factory. This is a process that every employee has to be able to do. So it's not really linked to one of the places particularly. Those processes, they are the basis of organizing your instructions. So you will have your general instructions, and you will have for each process in your factory, in your organization, you will have your instructions organized. Then when it comes to programs, they have a different organization because they are fully focused on job places, and it can change. If you reorganize slightly how the department works and how you put your team into action, and maybe some tasks switch between packaging and milling departments, then your processes in the organization have not really changed, but which processes go into which program, that does change. So make sure that these are separate organizational systems that use, in the end, the same logic. And that's why also make them separate documents. So you have a list of tasks that a person should be competently able to perform within each of your processes. With a whole number of those processes or tasks, you would like to add an instruction. But at the very least, what you want to have for each of those processes is a sort of an exam type of question. So how can a person train, learn, and do this? So how can you push him towards learning about it? In this document, you will probably also say where are the resources so that he can learn, and what should he be able to do at the end before they will tell themselves that they are competent and can be assessed afterwards. So these are one type of document, and they come together in a program where you basically link what type of processes should you be able to perform when you work in Milling 1. This is the whole list. Go and learn each of them. And for each of the processes that you should be able to competently perform, there is a list of what is competent. And when you check them all, so basically the trainee themselves will check all the boxes. I know I am confident that I can perform these processes adequately. When they check them all, you do an examination, an assessment, a practical work guide, walk along, however you want to call it. In the end, you examine, you check if this person is indeed able to perform all the tasks in practice. But this is not an instruction. This is just a checklist of requirements. The instructions, they are organized separately from the programs, and they are organized per process, as indeed this traditional ISO system taught us. Do we keep our competency, our skill matrices separate from it? That we organize on workplaces and on what we expect our people to be able to do. So I hope that this clarifies the sort of double accounting that is needed to make one system out of it, but to create the flexibility for yourself, but also really to make it suit your training purposes and not get caught up on one system that tries to combine this in one single document and will just be very difficult to maintain, because as soon as you change something, it will be a mess. With this double system, you have a nice, open, modular way of organizing your training materials. Now, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let me know, are there good extra ways or things that maybe you missed in my video that will really help us to organize our training material? Please drop me a comment. And also, as I said, if there are other topics about instructions and the training process that you would like me to do a video about, also let me know in the comments below. For now, I wish you the best of luck with organizing your instructions, and as always, enjoy the improvement journey.